Welcome, guys, to the Creative Mike podcast. My name is Michael Molisco, your creative finance mentor. I want to talk today about a lot of questions that I always get from a lot of viewers, a lot of people that follow me, just the general public overall. And that is, do I need a license to wholesale? Is wholesaling legal? This is kind of a topic that is going around a lot right now in the media because of what's happening and because of what's happening in the real estate industry and the wholesaling industry aside as well. The answer to that question is not as simple as it would be because a lot of states are making a lot of changes right now. So you do have certain states that require you to have a wholesale license. One of those states being where I'm in, Illinois. And so if you're wholesaling more than one deal a year, they want you to have a wholesale license. But of course, there's always a loophole, as there is in everything. There are other states that are trying to push certain laws and regulations on wholesaling just to try to regulate them more because it was kind of like the wild, wild west for a long time and it wasn't really regulated. So some regulations are being put in place to make sure that the sellers and all parties are protected and not being taken advantage of. What I think about having a license, I honestly don't think it's something that should be pushed or should be made as a requirement for the fact that we are not real estate agents. Technically, we don't represent anyone. We represent ourselves. When we're under contract with a seller, we are obviously under contract to purchase that property. And if we're going to assign the property, we always have the verbiage and the legal clauses in that contract letting the seller know that either we're going to purchase the property or we're going to assign the property to another buyer. And all that is mentioned in the initial conversation that we have with the sellers. What I think about the entire industry as a whole is it is changing. And a lot of wholesalers that kind of just do this part-time or really don't make offers that make any sense to sellers or don't make any sense overall when it comes to the mathematics and the actual profitability of the contract itself are going to definitely get pushed out and are not going to want to wholesale or are not going to want to get their real estate license if they are in a state that's going to require a real estate license. Some of the legislations, though, that they're trying to push, just quite frankly hilarious. I believe there's one state that's talking about you have to have a license to wholesale, but you cannot wholesale.
Huh?
So me and a lot of my friends in the industry were just like, where is this going? Where are the representatives trying to take this? I believe that as a wholesaler, we bring so much value to the economy. Number one, the people that we buy from, a lot of the times, they're distressed sellers that they would not be able to list their property on the MLS. So the buyers cannot get traditional financing. And a lot of these people don't even have the money to fix up their property to get them into the shape or form that they need to have it in for it to pass underwriting and pass appraisal guidelines. As wholesalers, we do help solve a lot of people's problems and bring solutions. So I myself, I don't look at problems anymore because problems arise on a daily basis. I wake up on the daily and I look for solutions because I know that my email is going to be riddled with problems. It's just part of life. But within those problems, there's always going to be solutions, just like there's always going to be solutions in the wholesaling world and how we go about doing deals. And I don't believe that wholesaling is ever going to go away. Do I believe that it's going to be regulated? Definitely. I think that regulations are coming and they've already have come through in certain states. Still think it's going to still be a process to get everything to where it definitely needs to be. So if you're thinking about wholesaling, don't be scared of having a license. One way that you can avoid having a license is you can double close on a deal, meaning that you can use what's called transactional funding. So there's plenty of transactional funders out there. What they do is they provide the money for the A and B side of the transaction to title, and title uses those funds to close on the A and B side, and then they provide the money on the B and C side to close with your buyer. And if you don't have a license and you're in a state that needs a licensing, you can use what's called a transactional lender. They do charge usually about anywhere from 0.5% all the way up to 2%. And they do have sometimes a minimum of like $750 or $1,000. The downside of double closing is that you have to pay closing costs on the A and B side, or depending if you split it with the seller, however you negotiate, you would end up getting less money than if you were just to assign the deal. But if worse comes to worse and you have to double close, I highly recommend using transactional funding. I've used it many times. A lot of the reasons that I've used transactional funding was because some of the times my assignment fees were a little bit higher than I wanted my buyer or an investor to see. Typically when they're over $25,000 in assignment fees, I will double close and use transactional funding. So just to kind of get back on topic, I wouldn't let any of the news, the propaganda, the media out there from discouraging you and deterring you from getting in the wholesaling industry. It is a fun industry. There are so many ways to make money in this industry, which I will get into in later episodes. Wholesaling by itself, I think it's phenomenal. I think we help a lot of people that would not be able to have helped by anyone besides a wholesaler. So I personally think that we should have definite realtors and we should have wholesalers. Unfortunately, sometimes we do clash with the realtors. That's just an unfortunate side that's been going on for years. I really hope that in the long run, realtors and wholesalers could work side by side and we can accomplish and go forward with the same goals and aspirations. So guys, once again, you can follow me on TikTok at Creative Mike with a K, at creative_Mike on Instagram, at Creative Mike on Facebook. And as always, stay creative, my friends.